All right, folks, welcome back to this edition of Against the Ropes. I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, RichQ on Q. As we mentioned, we've been talking about it for the last several days. There's the first all-female pro card in North American history. It's going to take place August 15th at the Crown Plaza in Quebec, Canada. It's got some young and up-and-coming fighters making their pro debut. It's got some veterans in the ring as well. It's got some very good boxing all around, and one of those aforementioned boxers is kind enough to join us for a couple moments. Sherine Thomas taking on Vanessa Bradford. That's going to be slated for 6 rounds. And Sherine, first and foremost, we appreciate a couple moments. And like I ask a lot of these female boxers going forward, what's your mindset? How is training? And just give us your thoughts on this overall bout.
So definitely mindset for sure, 100% mentally ready. In terms of physical, it's training has been very, very hard at my training camp. So I said to my trainer yesterday, if training this hard, well, the fight shouldn't be this hard because trust me, training is tough. So once I get in there, I'm ready to go.
What I find is interesting is that you've had, when you look at this card as a whole, you've had a lot of experience, and you might look at your record, it might be a 2-3 record, despite the fact that it's a lopsided record. You've fought some real tough opponents, Shelly Vincent, Jackie Trivigliano, and those all went 6 rounds, 4 rounds against Douglas as well. So it seems as though you step up in class. You're not afraid to fight anyone.
The last fight with Jackie, I thought it could, dig deeper and do a bit more damage. However, I really left it to the last round. I had her on the ropes. I was hurting on the ropes. If that was considered, say, around 3 or 4, even 2, I think I would get a lot more damage done. With Shelly Vincent, that fight, I have to say, it was a bit tough for me. Coming down from the Douglas fight, went down at 114 pounds for Douglas. And 2 weeks after, I tried to get to a 125 to fight Vincent. So that was very hard on my body. Mentally, it wasn't, but definitely physically it was. So, yeah, all 3 fights was tough, but however, I didn't get the W, but managed to, I learned from it, definitely, for sure.
I think you're bringing up some great points. I mean, first of all, a lot of people talk about cutting weight and losing weight, and a lot of times you can get rid of those last couple pounds as a fighter, even if it's just water weight. You dehydrate yourself, you get in some extra road work. But the fact that you're actually trying to go up in weight, not only can that really do damage to the body, but it can also make you sluggish as well. It can take away some of your speed, could hurt endurance and conditioning as well. So that's tough to do either way. And the interesting thing that I find is sometimes, especially in female boxing, like in the Olympics, there's just X amount of weight classes. There's several weight classes, so there's not a competitive balance. For you guys and the amateurs and the pros, sometimes you really have to stay at just one weight class in order to get fights, because if you keep moving around a little bit, it's going to get tougher to get some fights.
Totally, definitely, totally. What a lot of people probably won't realize is that when I got called to fight Douglas, I was 125 pounds. I struggled to lose that weight, let alone 2 weeks after, once I got through the fight with her, I got another call to fight Vincent. And I have to say, this is boxing. It's a very tough sport. I really have to say it's one of the stupidest mistake I've ever made in my boxing career was to leave from 125 to make 114 on the scale. Then in 2 weeks after, went back from 114, trying to make 125 to fight Shelly. So, I have to be honest, Shelly's camp didn't realize that, they got away with a lot because, I went in her backyard and I really didn't give a shit how tough, how excellent, or how great she was. I was ready to go. On my side, it wasn't good in a lot of ways because in terms of strength, wasn't there. And, mentally, I remember in the last round, my trainer said to me, hey, Rosie, you have to knock her out in the last round to win the fight. And I looked at him. I didn't say it out to him, but I said it to myself. There is no way I'm going to get up off this stool and knock Shelly out because I felt like I had nothing in my tank, like zero. No joke. You know, people may think this is easy, but it's, especially for me, I don't know about any other female or other male fighters. It's very, very tough for me to fluctuate like that.
I was going to say, too, on the lighter side, going up and down and up, you must have been a real pleasant person to be around those last couple of weeks while this was going on.
Oh, my God. I have to say, in the Douglas fight, and this was one of the things I took away from the fight, and I knew it was the most stupidest idea I've ever made. I looked at my shoulders, and I said to my trainer, Gavin, oh, my God, this was in the last round. I wasn't even sweating.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're in a professional fight. You're in the last round, and not even a drop of sweat. It was just horrible. But I mean, I gotta move on, right? The 15, I'm ready to go to war. I don't care how good she is. I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you, and again, you bring in some great insight, and a lot of people don't know that. I'm sure a lot of boxing fans, especially that follow female boxing, will kind of be interested to know some of this. You mentioned you're ready for your fight again. It's going to be against Vanessa Bradford. She comes in 3-0-1. Are you a believer in watching film on an opponent?
No. I have to say, with the other opponents that I had before, I try to do, a little homework here and there. But I have to say, sometimes it can get very, very fishy because sometimes I think once they find out who they're fighting, they either, I don't know if they can either go on YouTube and take their shit off of it. But I find it in my case, it's hard to find my opponents up there with a fight. Like, it's so hard. It's not easy. The answer to your question is, yes, I would have loved to study my opponents. However, mentally, I always, every time I step through the ropes, I always said to myself, remember, your opponent's got two hands too. They have two gloves on. But don't ever for a second moment take them lightly. Doesn't matter if you're better than them. It still doesn't matter. Do not underestimate them. But I have to say, I'm going in there in, say, 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half, and not underestimating her, but I'm ready to go.
Sherine Thomas joining us for a couple moments on this edition of Against the Ropes. I'm your host, Rich Quinones, and again, pleasure of speaking with some great talent that we're seeing in female boxing. And of course, I'll have the opportunity to call all the fights ringside, something I'm looking forward to. Two more quickies for you, Sherine. And again, I appreciate a couple moments. How about the fact that this is going to be the first all-female pro card in North America, and the fact that it's going to give you guys some, I believe, down the road, some good exposure. I mean, I know you fought in New York, and I know you fought in the States as well. I know you fought obviously in Canada, but just the fact that it's all female, there's no male, so the attention's going to be on you ladies from the time that first bell, that opening bell starts with that first bout to the final bell in the main event. Talk a little bit about that. How are you feeling with that and going forward in the state of female boxing?
Oh my God, I have to be honest with you. I cannot feel any more happy and proud that to see the females right now, we're actually having a card for herself. Oh my God. All I can say is wow. From coming from, way back in the days where, sometimes it's hard for a woman to even walk into a gym and say, hey, I want to be a boxer. She's turned away because she's a female. So, I really, when I look back, I have to, these guys who are putting on the card, David and his partner, I have to say, kudos. When I mentioned about the card at my club, to some guys, they were like, how come it's only a woman's card? There's no guys on it? I look at them and I'm like, nope, females only. They're like, oh, wow, that's the first. I'm like, yeah, and you know what? I am so damn proud to fight on it. I am so happy to fight on it. All females card in North America. Just absolutely fantastic.
You just got to tell them the next time, you know what, don't worry about it. It's just ladies' night, so you guys just stay home.
Oh, it's going to be more than ladies' night, I tell you, when the throwdown starts.
Let me ask you this in closing. If I always want you guys to any shout outs, or if you guys are involved in any type of social media, if you have any websites, anything like that, here's an opportunity. Go right ahead, promote it, plug it, promote yourself.
So basically, to be honest with you, my friend just signed me up on Facebook just to help like promote the fight because I'm not a social media person. I know it sounds weird because I'm a boxer and I should have my stuff out there. I'm pretty much a pretty down to earth, laid back. Cause just doesn't it's just the camera and the TV and all that stuff I'm not used to. But I have to say, like, when she put up the Facebook account, I was like, wow, like the amount of response we already gotten, and friends and family and people we don't even know, like went on it and like, oh my God, we cannot wait for August the 15th because this all female professional card sounds like a kick-ass card. The other thing is, I just if I can remember it in my head while I'm talking to you, Rosie Thomas webpage, and that's it. That's my Facebook account. Rosie Thomas web. Did I say webpage?
You know what? I'm going to give you a crash course when I see you, and then we're going to set you up with a Twitter account as well. How's that?
Oh my God, I'm being very, very honest with you. Like, I am so not a social media girl.
But you know what?
I'm being very, very honest. Like, even though my Facebook thing is up, I'm not the one running it because I just don't have the time to go on it and sending messages and reading up and all that stuff. So I know your heart is in the right place. I totally appreciate it. The only thing, I'm so old school, and I think it will be absolutely fantastic for my boxing career. However, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to give it a shot, but I know it's going to be hard for me to keep up with it because I'm not a social media person.
Well, listen, the offer's out there. We'll call it baby steps, but what you are is very honest, and we like that, and you gave us some wonderful insight. I appreciate the couple moments greatly and look forward to getting up there in a couple weeks and calling the action ringside.
Oh, can I give a shout out to there's one person I really, really, really want to give a shout out to.
Go right ahead.
And I have to say, if it wasn't for him, I would not be in Canada. I would not be fighting here. So I want to give a shout out to Donovan Razor Reddock, who brought me here to Canada so I can start my boxing career. And I cannot thank him enough because if I said, if it wasn't for Razor Reddock, I would not be here competing against Canadians, Americans, Europeans. I just wanted to thank him for all the opportunities that he's been giving me, and damn right I appreciate it. So I just wanted to send him a shout out. If he ever heard this or if he's listening, I just wanted to send him a shout out. Thank you.
And we thank you for a couple moments. We look forward to the fight against Bradford. And again, I can't thank you enough. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, take care. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, Sherine Thomas joining us on another edition of Against the Ropes. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter, RichQ. Also, follow and subscribe to us on our YouTube page. You can just Google Rich Quinones Combat Sports, Boxing, or MMA, and it'll pop up. Of course, Instagram and Tumblr, onqsports.com. And as I alluded to, go to NCWB, okay, NCWB at Coliseum Boxing. Follow them on Twitter, NCWB at Coliseum Boxing. Follow them on Twitter. They'll give you all the great information leading up to the August 15th card in Quebec, Canada, and it's going to be a wonderful time for all. All right, that's going to do it. We're going to start wrapping it up. Don't forget, next week we'll talk a little more East Coast boxing. We'll recap a couple cards that occurred in South Philadelphia. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Against the Ropes, and we'll see you next time ringside.